Hey guys, so we are going to start with Act 2 today. Um, the major thing that I want you to remember from Act 1 is in Act 1, we're doing a lot of setting the scene, okay? And kind of giving you an idea on what these people are like. So, in scene 1, the two guards at Elsinore Castle see the ghost of the recently dead king, and the king's name is also Hamlet. Now, you will hear him referred to as king, father, things like that. It never really comes up that the son and the father are named the same. Horatio is a childhood friend of Hamlet's and decides, I gotta tell him. I gotta let him know what is going on. Gertrude and King Claudius, who are recently married, ask Hamlet to stay in Denmark a while longer after the funeral. Horatio tells Hamlet about the ghost. Now, do not forget, Gertrude is Hamlet's mother, King Claudius is his uncle. So don't forget that, there's a lot of not fun family dynamics going on right now. Scene 3, Larity counsels his sister Ophelia not to fall in love with Hamlet, and their father Polonius agrees. Polonius advises Laertes on how to conduct himself at school. Laertes is heading out into the world for university. Neither one of them are particularly fond of how Hamlet's family has been acting necessarily. And so, despite the fact that Hamlet legitimately feels for Ophelia, and despite the fact that she legitimately feels for Hamlet, there's a good reason not to get involved in this. Hamlet waits with Horatio and Marcellus, the guard, for the ghost to appear. When it does appear, Hamlet runs after it and the others follow. And then, of course, scene 5, the ghost of Hamlet's father says that Claudius murdered him with poison and that he wants Hamlet to kill Claudius, but spare Gertrude. Hamlet swears he will and tells his companions that he will pretend to go insane to get to the truth. So we now have the scene set up. So we have Hamlet, a very dedicated son. We have, let me move this over just, oh, no. There we go. Just a little, just up, just up. This right here, what you were looking at over here in the video, that is in fact just a lot of extra. I got a lot of junk to go through. Anyways, so the whole point of this is the whole point of Act 1. It just is to set up the complex dynamics that are going to be going on for the remainder of our reading, of our walkthrough, if you want to go that far. So with Act 2, the overview. Polonius sends money to his son Laertes, and Ophelia tells her father that Hamlet is behaving strangely. Now, in scene 5, we see that he pretends to go insane, but we're going to talk about that. He pretends so well that it's reasonable to believe he actually isn't pretending anymore. Claudius and Gertrude try to determine the cause of Hamlet's strange behavior, summoning help from his two old friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. A troupe of actors arrive, and Hamlet plans to use the troupe to test Claudius. So we're going to go ahead and read scene 1 together and scene 2. Now, these are not short. Okay? Despite the fact that there are only 2 scenes, these are not short. There's a lot to go through. So, strap in and let's go through it. Enter Polonius with his man Rinaldo. Now, I'm going to be reading from the original text. Feel free to follow along with the modern text, but I'm going to be breaking it down in the original, okay? If you need to follow along in the modern, If that's an issue that we need to discuss later, let me know. Give him this money and these notes, Rinaldo. So Polonius is sending him this money, and Rinaldo, I will, my lord, I will. You shall do marvelously wisely. Good Rinaldo, before you visit him to inquire of his behavior. My lord, I did intend it. Very well said, very well said. Look you, sir, inquire me first what danskers are in Paris, and how and who, what means and where they keep, what company at what expense in finding. By this encompassment and drift of question, that they do know my son, come you more nearer than your particular demands will touch it. Take you as 'twere some distant knowledge of him, and thus I know his father and his friends, and in part him. Do this. Do you mark this, Rinaldo? So, he's asking Rinaldo to snoop on his son. Is that girl who's his roommate really just a girl that's his roommate? You know, that kind of thing. Aye, very well, my lord. I'll snoop around. And in part him, but, you may say, not well, and if it be he, I mean, he's very wild, addicted so-and-so, and there put on him what forgeries you please, Mary, none so rank as may dishonor him. Take heed of that, but, sir, such wanton wild and usual slips are as our companions noted and most known to youth and liberty. Feel free to spread a couple of rumors that, maybe he's a wild child and that you don't want to really mess with him or be around him. But nothing so bad as to reflect badly on him. Make sure that it's just the right amount. Polonius is a helicopter dad, and he's worried about his son bringing dishonor on himself or putting himself in a bad spot. The reason for this is Polonius works for the king. This is a high mark. This is the creme de la creme. This is the appointment by the president, right? You don't want to jack around with the 7-figure salary. And it's likely that if Laertes is well-spoken, well-handled, he in fact could take over for his father. It's not a family appointment, but there's no reason it couldn't be. Right? So, keep him honest by making him look dishonest. If everyone expects him to lie, nobody will deal with him, and because nobody deals with him, he must therefore stay honest. It's a little bit of a cloak and dagger, but you see, this is just a dad trying to be a good dad. And how messed up it is. And how overwhelming and overbearing it is. Imagine what a bad father would do. Like the original Hamlet, the king, or Uncle Claudius. So Rinaldo responds, as gaming, my lord. Aye, or drinking, fencing, swearing, quarreling, drabbing. You may go so far. And drabbing, by the way, visiting women of ill repute. Soiled doves, if you want to go with the American version thereof. My lord, that would dishonor him. Faith, no, as you may season it in the charge. You must not go put another scandal on him, that he is open to inconsistency. That's not my meaning. But breathe his faults so quaintly that they may seem the taints of liberty, the flash and outbreak of a fiery mind, a savageness in unreclaimed blood of general assault. Don't make it like the boy has an issue, okay? Make it like he doesn't know what to do with his freedom. But my good lord, wherefore should you do this? Aye, my lord, I would know that. Marry, sir, here's my drift. and I believe it is a fetch of wit. You laying these slight sullies on my son, as 'twere a thing a little soiled in the working. Mark you, your party in converse him you would sound, having ever seen in the predominant crimes the youth you breathe of guilty. Be assured, he closes with you in this consequence, good sir, or so, or friend, or gentleman, according to the phrase or the edition of man and country. The modern English does very well in translating this on this part to me. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm quite proud of myself for this. As you talk with someone and hint about my son's faults and little sins, you watch his reaction, and if he's ever seen Laertes do any of these things, it will only be natural for him to agree with you, at which point he'll call you sir or my good friend, depending on who the person is, where he comes from, and so on. So, by lying about my son, you will see if others think this about him. This is some next level helicopter daddage. All right, you thought your parents were rough. Your parents aren't wandering around the town talking about you going to any number of ragers or anything else, talking about and looking for those little discrepancies that mean, well, maybe you didn't do this, but you did something like it. Very good, my lord. And then, sir, does he this? He does. What was I about to say? By the mass, I was about to say something. Where did I leave? At closes in the consequence, at friend or so, and gentleman. At closes in consequence. Ah, Mary, he closes thus. I know the gentleman. I saw him yesterday, or to the other day, or then, or such and such. And as you say, there he was, gambling. There overtook in ruse. The falling out at tennis, or perchance I saw him enter such a house of sale. Videlict a brothel, or so forth. See you now, your bait of falsehood takes this carp of truth. And thus do we of wisdom and of reach, with windlasses and the assays of bias, by indirections find directions out. So by my former lecture and advice shall you, my son. You have me, have you not? If he agrees with you, the man you are speaking with, it is likely that he'll tell you exactly what he saw. Now you didn't ask questions. You've reaffirmed. And they seek to agree. Like baiting a hook to get the truth. My lord, I have. God be with you. Fare you well. Good, my lord. Observe his inclination in yourself. I shall, my lord. So, don't forget to see what he's up to with your own eyes. Don't trust gossip, ironically, by creating gossip. And let him ply his music. Well, my lord. Farewell. Exit Rinaldo. You'll notice that Polonius is a schemer. He thinks things through, often too far. Enter Ophelia. How now, Ophelia? What's the matter? Oh, my lord, I have been so affrighted. With what, in the name of God? My lord, I was sewing in my closet. Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all unbraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings fouled, ungartered, and down gyved to his ankle, pale as his shirt, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous in purport, as if he had been loosed out of hell. To speak of horrors, he comes before me. So, doublet is the padded shirt of aristocracy. So his doublet is undone. Okay, so basically his shirt is open and his undershirt is showing. Um, no hat upon his head, which would have been seen as far too casual. His stockings fouled. He's not clean, ungartered and downgived, and so they're not tight. They're not properly fitted. It's like he's been wearing them for days. Mad for thy love, my lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it. What said he? He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then goes he to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand thus over his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stayed he so. So he studies me. At last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound, as it did seem to shatter all his bulk, and ending his being. That done, he lets me go, and with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes. For out of doors he went without their helps, and to the last bended their light on me. So he watches me as he leaves, almost as if he doesn't need to know where he is going. He stares at me the entire time he's walking out. Not the most dateable, nice kind of, affectation to have. Polonius responds, "Come, go with me. I will go seek the king. This is the very ecstasy of love, whose violent property foredoes itself and leads the will to desperate undertakings. As oft as any passion under the heaven that does afflict our natures, I am sorry. What, have you given him any hard words of late?" "No, my good lord, but as you did command, I did repel his fetters and denied his access to me." So right now Polonius is thinking, the dear boy is in the midst of heartbreak. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He truly loves and admires my dear Ophelia. Indeed. That hath made him mad. I am sorry that with better heed and judgment I had not quoted him. I feared he did but trifle, and meant to wreck thee, but beshrew my jealousy. By heaven, it is as proper to our age to cast beyond ourselves and our opinions, as it is common for the younger sort to lack discretion. Come, go we to the king. This must be known, which, being kept close, might move. More grief to hide than hate, to utter love. Come. Exeunt. So, what does this mean? Basically, Polonius is convinced, I had it figured out from the beginning, this is a love story. Hamlet loves Ophelia with so much of his heart that when she repelled him, rejected him, and said no, after leading him on, Hamlet lost it. Hamlet is all about this girl, and it's my fault. It's my fault that this has become an issue. So come, let's go see the king and see what we can do to fix it. Yes. Scene 2. Flourish. Enter King Claudius, Queen Gertrude, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern, and attendants. "Welcome, dear Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Moreover, that which we did long to see you, the need we have to use you did provoke our hasty sending. Something have you heard of Hamlet's transformation, so call it, since nor the exterior nor the inward man resembles that it was, what it should be, more than his father's death, that thus hath put him so much from the understanding of himself, I cannot dream of. I entreat you both, that being of so young days brought up with him, and since so neighbour to his youth and behaviour, that you vouchsafe your rest here in our court, some little time so by your companies, to draw him on to pleasures and to gather, so much as form occasion you may glean, whether aught to us unknown afflicts him thus, that opened lies within our remedy. So Claudius has brought in 2 childhood friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to spy on Hamlet. He won't talk to me, so I need your help. I need you to look at him and tell me what's going on. The only thing I can understand or imagine is that it's his father's theft, but I don't know. And I want to make sure. If it's something I can fix, I want to. Good gentlemen, he hath much talked of you. I refuse to do that voice the whole time, I'm sorry. And sure, I am 2 men that are not living, to whom he more adheres. If it will please you to show us so much gentry and goodwill as to expend your time with us a while, for the supply and profit of our hope, your visitation shall receive such thanks as fits a king's remembrance. So Gertrude is throwing out there that if you are willing to do this for us, do not think that we would be unwilling to thank you. Now, it may be a payment. It may just simply be that they get a little bit of an extra push. I mean, everyone wants royalty on their side, right? Both your majesties might, by the sovereign power you have of us, but your dread pleasures more into command than to entreaty. So Rosencrantz is letting them know, you didn't really give us an option here. You kind of told us to come here and do this. But we both obey, and here give ourselves, in the full bent, to lay our service freely at your feet, to be commanded. Despite that, we will obey your desire. Thanks, Rosencrantz and gentle Guildenstern. Thanks, Guildenstern and gentle Rosencrantz. And I beseech you instantly to visit my too much changed son. Go, some of you, and bring these gentlemen where Hamlet is. So we have the parallelism, Rosencrantz being thanked, and then Guildenstern being called gentle, and then the reverse. This right here is very traditional courtly behavior. No one is isolated. You give thanks in proper format. It's very formulaic. Heavens make our presence and our practices pleasant and helpful to him. Hopefully we can make him happy. Aye, amen. Exeunt, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern escorted by attendants. These could be soldiers. Attendants of this time period would have been those capable of taking care of the king and queen, but also of protecting them. Okay? Do not think that this was so unlikely as to just be a butler. This was probably a butler and guards. They are not really given a lot of options with this. Enter Polonius. The ambassadors from Norway, my good lord, are joyfully returned. Thou still hast been the father of good news. Have I, my lord? Sure, my good liege. I hold my duty as I hold my soul, both to my God and to my gracious king. And I do think, or else this brain of mine hunts not the trail of policy so sure as hath used to do, that I have found the very cause of Hamlet's lunacy. Oh, speak of that. That I do long to hear. Give first audience to the ambassadors. my news shall be the fruit of that great feast. Thyself do grace to them and bring them in. He tells me, my dear Gertrude, he hath found the head and source of your son's distemper. Distemper is both a malady that is currently found in animals, as well as anger, madness, insanity, crazed actions of people. Basically, you're off your temper, you're off your mood, you're a little on the wild side. I doubt it is no other but the main, his father's death, and our o'er-hasty marriage. Gertrude calling it as she sees it. Enter Polonius with the ambassadors Voltimand and Cornelius. Claudius. Well, we shall sift him. Welcome, my good friends, say Voltimand. What from our brother Norway? Most fair return of greetings and desires. Upon our first he sent out to suppress his nephew's levies, which to him appeared to be a preparation against the Polak. But, better looked into, he truly found it was against your highness, whereat grieved, that so his sickness, age, and impotence was falsely borne in hand, and sends out arrests on Fortinbras. Fortinbras is worth noting. These other two not necessarily, but Fortinbras for sure, which he, in brief, obeys. Receives rebuke from Norway, and in fine makes vow before his uncle nevermore to give the assay of arms against your majesty. Whereupon old Norway, overcome with joy, gives him 3,000 crowns an annual fee, and is commissioned to employ those soldiers, so levied as before against the Polak. You can now invade Poland, not Denmark. With an entreaty, herein further shown, that it might please you to give quiet pass through your domains for this enterprise, on such regards of safety and allowance as therein are set down. So, Fortinbras brings up a levy, which means that he calls the peasantry as well as soldiers who are not active in the military at that moment to rise up. Yes, Mama?
I'm going to leave this door open. I'm going up to do Gab.
Okay.
I don't know when he'll be back, but he will need a bath tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, the King of Norway, being old, sick, and infirm to some extent, sends out basically an arrest against Fortinbras. You have to come home. You have to stand before me and explain yourself. And in digging into it, he realizes that Fortinbras was going to attack Denmark, because Fortinbras' father lost land and was killed by King Hamlet. So, he agrees, at the word of my king, I will not attack Denmark. But the old king doesn't necessarily want the army to go to waste, and Poland is right there after all. So, with permission, they wish to use Denmark as a landing zone and march their army that was originally intended for them through Denmark into Poland to take it out. You see how complicated this can get. It likes us well, and at our more considered time we'll read, answer, and think upon this business. Meantime, we thank you for your well-took labor. Go to your rest. At night we'll feast together. Most welcome home. I like this news because that also means that there will undoubtedly be money for me to make. Treaties, where you allowed an army to land in your area and march through, often came with a hefty bounty. You don't expect them to pass through for nothing. That additional wealth was kind of held as a hostage. Anyways, so Voltimand and Cornelius leave. Exeunt. This business is well ended, my liege and madame. To expostulate what majesty should be, what duty is, why day is day, night is night, and time is time. We're nothing but to waste night, day, and time. Therefore, since brevity is the soul of wit, and tediousness the limbs and outward flourishes, I will be brief, despite the fact that he hasn't been. Your noble son is mad. Mad call I it, for to define true madness, what is it but to be nothing else but mad? But let that go. So, your son is crazy. Crazy, I'm calling it, since how can you say what craziness is except to say that it is craziness? But that's another story. Polonius can't stay on track. The man is a scatterbrain. It is a squirrel lost in the planter's factory. So, more matter, less art. Please stick to your point. Madam, I swear I use no art at all, that he is mad. 'Tis true, 'tis true, 'tis pity, and pity 'tis true, foolish figure. But farewell it, for I will use no art. Mad let us grant him then, and now remains that we find the cause of this effect. Or rather say, the cause of this defect. For this effect defective comes by cause. Thus it remains, and the remainder thus. Perpend, I have a daughter, while she is mine, who in her duty and obedience, mark, hath given me this. Now gather and surmise. Reads a letter. To the celestial and my soul's idol, the most beautified Ophelia. That's an ill phrase, a vile phrase. Beautified is a vile phrase. But you shall hear. Thus reads the letter. In her excellent white bosom, these, etc. And he finishes the love letter, essentially, in Gertrude. Came this from Hamlet to her? Good madam, stay a while, I will be faithful. Doubt thou the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move, doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love. O dear Ophelia, I am ill at these numbers. I am not art to reckon my groans, but that I love thee best. O most best, believe it, adieu. Thine evermore, most dear lady, whilst this machine is to him, Hamlet. This in obedience hath my daughter shown me, and more above hath his solicitings, as they fell out by time, by means, and place, all given to mine ear. But how shall she receive his love? How hath she received his love? What do you think of me? As a man faithful and honorable. I would fain prove so. But what might you think, when I had seen this hot love on the wing? As I perceived it, I must tell you that, before my daughter told me, what might you, or my dear majesty, your queen here, think, if I had played the desk or table book, or given my heart a winking, mute and dumb, or looked upon this love with idle sight? What might you think? No, I went round to work, and my young mistress thus I did bespeak. Lord Hamlet is a prince out of thine star. This must not be. And then I prescripts gave her that she should lock herself from his resort. Girl, you can't marry a prince. Stop letting him act like this. The only thing he wants is to take you to bed, and that's it. Don't do it. Admit no messengers, receive no tokens, which done, she took the fruits of my advice, and he repelled, a short tale to make, fell into a sadness, then into a fast, thence to a watch, into a weakness, thence into a lightness, and by this declension into the madness where now he raves, and all we mourn for. This man cannot stop talking. I love Polonius, but he never gets to his point. Do you think that's why Hamlet's crazy? It may be, very likely. Hath there been such a time, I would fain know that I have positively said, 'tis so, when it proved otherwise. I know and figure things out. When have I been wrong? Honestly, he is the consort of the king. Not that I know. Take this from me, if it be otherwise. If circumstances lead me, I will find where truth is hid, though it were hid indeed within the center. How may we try it further? You know sometimes he walks 4 hours together here in the lobby. So he does indeed. 4 hours he goes and paces the room. The grand greeting and meeting hall, late at night, when no one else is about, muttering and speaking to himself. Madness indeed. At such time I'll loose my daughter to him. Be you and I behind an arras then. Mark the encounter, if he love her not, and be not from his reason fallen thereon. Let me be no assistant for estate, but keep a farm and carters. If I'm wrong, and it's not for love of Ophelia that this madness has precipitated upon him, fire me. And Claudius, we will try it. Enter Hamlet reading on a book. Gertrude, but look where the poor wretch comes reading. Anyway, I do beseech you both away. I'll board him presently. Oh, give me leave. How does my good Lord Hamlet? Well, God a mercy. Do you know me, my lord? Excellent. Well, you are a fishmonger. Not I, my lord. Then I would you were so honest a man. Honest, my lord? Aye, sir, to be honest, as this world goes, is to be one man picked out of 10,000. That's very true, my lord. If the sun breed maggots in a dead dog, being a good kissing carrion, have you a daughter? I have, my lord. Let her not walk in the sun. Conception is a blessing, but as your daughter may conceive, friend, look to it. How say you by that? Still harping on my daughter, yet he knew me not at first. He said I was a fishmonger. He is far gone, and truly in my youth I suffered much extremity for love, very near this. I'll speak to him again. What do you read, my lord? Words, words, words. What is the matter, my lord? Between who? I mean, the matter that you read, my lord. Slander, sir. For the satirical rogue says here that an old man have grey beards, that their faces are wrinkled, their eyes purging thick amber and plum tree gum, and that they have a plentiful lack of wit, together with the most weak hams, all of which, sir, though I most powerfully and potentially believe, yet I hold it not honestly to have it thus set down. For yourself, sir, should be old as I am, if like a crab you could go backward. Though this be madness, there yet there is method in it. Ah, have you ever heard there is method to my madness? There's thought to my crazy. Shakespeare. Never realized it, do you? Though this be madness, yet there is method in it. Will you walk out of the air, my lord? Into my grave? Indeed, that is out of the air. How pregnant sometimes his replies are. A happiness that often madness hits on, which reason and sanity could not so preposterously be delivered of. Prosperously be delivered of. Ugh. I will leave him and suddenly contrive the means of meeting between him and my daughter. My honourable lord, I must humbly take my leave of you. You cannot, sir, take from me anything that I more willingly part withal, except my life. Except my life. Except my life. So, I take my leave. Don't care. At all. Except for my life. Fare you well, my lord. These tedious old fools. You go seek the Lord Hamlet. There he is. God save you, sir. My honoured lord. My most dear lord. My excellent good friends, how dost thou, Guildenstern? Ha, Rosencrantz, good lads, how do you both? As the indifferent children of the earth, happy, in that we are not over happy. On fortune's cap we are not the very button, nor the soles of her shoes. Neither, my lord. Then you live about her waist, or in the middle of her favours. Faith, her privates we. In the secret parts of fortune, oh, most true, she is a strumpet. What news? Lady Luck is such a individual. So, they're making a pun. Her privates we. We are privates in her army. Now, obviously, everyone knows what the word privates can also mean, as in that which makes you either genetically male or female. And Hamlet plays on that idea. You're a toy. You are something like this. None, my lord. But the world's grown honest. Then doomsday's near. But your news is not true. Let me question more in particular. What have you, my good friends, deserved at the hands of fortune that she sends you to prison hither? No, you misunderstand me, my friends. Why are you imprisoned here? What crimes have you been committing? Prison, my lord. Denmark's a prison. Then is the world one, a goodly one, in which there are many confines, wards, and dungeons, Denmark being one of the worst. We think not so, my lord. Why then 'tis none to you, for there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. To me is it a prison. Basically, he is saying, I don't care what you see. It's as bad as a prison to me. Well, then it isn't one to you, since nothing is really good or bad in it of itself. It's all what a person thinks about it, and to me, Denmark is hell, a prison. Why then your ambition makes it one. 'Tis too narrow for your mind. Oh God, I could be bounded in a nutshell and counted myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams. Which dreams, indeed, are ambition. For the very substance of the ambitions is merely the shadow of a dream. A dream itself is but a shadow. Truly, and I hold ambition of so airy and light a quality, that it is but a shadow's shadow. Then are our beggar bodies, and our monarchs and outstretched heroes the beggar's shadow. Show we to the court, for by my fay I cannot reason. We will wait upon you. No such matter. I will not sort you with the rest of my servants, for to speak to you like an honest man, I am most dreadfully attended. But in the beaten way of friendship, what make you at Elsinore? To visit you, my lord, no other occasion. Beggar that I am even poor in thanks, but I thank you. And sure, dear friends, my thanks are too dear a halfpenny. Were you not sent for? Is it your own inclining? Is it a free visitation? Come, deal justly with me. Come. Nay, speak. See, Hamlet is worried. Are you here for me? Or did someone else bring you here? Now, he struck on something. A true act of paranoia, the first inkling of actual madness, the paranoia that comes into Hamlet's mind. That he cannot trust two men he knows so well. The problem is he's right. He can't. Just because he thinks everyone's out to get him doesn't mean that they're not. What should we say, my lord? Why, anything but to the purpose. You were sent for, and there is a kind of confession in your looks which your modesties have not craft enough to color. I know the good king and queen have sent for you. I see it in your face that you were not here for me, even if you remain for me. To what end, my lord? That you must teach me. But let me conjure you, by the rights of our fellowship, by the constancy of our youth, by the obligation of our ever-preserved love, and by what more dear a better proposer would charge you withal, be even and direct with me, whether you were sent for or no. What say you? Nay, then, I have an eye of you. If you love me, hold not off. My lord, we were sent for. I will tell you why. So shall my anticipation prevent your discovery and your secrecy. To the king and queen molts no feather. I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all customs of exercises, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. Promontory, no extra O. Promontory. For this most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this brave overhanging firmament, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire, why, it appears no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man! How noble is reason! How infinite in faculty! In form moving, how expresses and admirable; in action, how like an angel; in apprehension, how like a god! The beauty of the world, the paragon of the mind, of animals; and yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights me not, no, nor woman neither, though by your smiling you seem to say so. Hamlet lays it out there. Hamlet lays it all out there. I've lost it, all of it. Now the world is barren. There is no life here for me. There's nothing worthy of my time, my effort. My lord, there was no such stuff in my thoughts. Why did you laugh, then, when I said man delights me not? To think, my lord, if you delighted not in man, what Lenten entertainment the players shall receive from you. We cauted them on the way, and hither they are coming to offer you service. So, Lenten entertainment. Actors. A play is coming to town. And if you don't like people, what's the point of the play? He that plays the king shall be welcome. His majesty shall have tribute of me. The adventurous knight shall use his foil and target. The lover shall not sigh gratis. The humorous man shall end his part in peace. The clown shall make those laugh whose lungs are tickle. Oh, the seer and the lady shall say her mind freely, or the blank verse shall halt for it. What players are they? Even those you were wont to take delight in, the tragedians of the city. How chances it they travel? The residents, both in reputation and profit, were better both ways. I think their inhibition comes by the means of a late innovation. But they hold the same estimation they did when I was in the city. Are they so followed? No, indeed they are not. How comes it? Do they grow rusty? So, his favorite acting troupe is coming into town, and he's concerned and confused. Because why would they ever come to a palace? Now, it would be amazing to be invited, but they're not. They're traveling through. So what is going on? Why are they not making money in the city? Nay, their endeavours keep in the wonted pace. But there is, sir, an eyrie of children, little Aeses, that cry out on top of questions and are most tyrannically clapped for it. These are now the fashion, and so berattled the common stages, so they call them, that many wearing rapiers are afraid of goose quills and dare scarce come thither. So, the problem is that they have to compete with a group of children who yell out their lines and receive outrageous applause for it. These child actors are now in fashion, and they've so overtaken the public theaters that society types hardly come at all. So they're afraid of being mocked by the playwrights who write for the boys. So basically, family flicks are all the rage. Nobody wants to go and watch a good drama. What, are they children? Who maintains them? How are they enscoted? Will they pursue the quality no longer that they can sing? Will they not say afterwards, if they should grow themselves to common players, as it is most like if their means are no better, the writers do them wrong to make them exclaim against their own succession? Faith, there has been much to do on both sides, and the nation holds it no sin to tar them to controversy. There was for a while no money to bid for argument, unless the poet and the player went to cuffs in the question. Is it possible? Oh, there has been much throwing about of brains. Do the boys carry it away? Aye, that they do, my lord. Hercules and his load, too. It is not very strange, for my uncle is king of Denmark, and those that would make mouths at him while my father lived give 20, 40, 50, 100 ducats apiece for his picture in little. It's blood. There's something in this more than natural if philosophy could find it out. There are the players. Gentlemen, you are welcome to Elsinore. Your hands. Come then. The appurtenance of welcome is fashion and ceremony. Let me comply with you in this garb, lest my extent to the players, which I tell you must show fairly outwards, should be more appear like entertainment than yours. You are welcome, but my uncle father and aunt mother are deceived. He just called his mother his aunt. My uncle father and aunt mother. So, and if we don't shake hands when I act all nice to the players, it will seem like I'm happier to see them than you. In what, my dear lord? What are they confused about? I am but mad, northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw. So, I'm only crazy sometimes. At other times, I know what's about. Well, be with you, gentlemen. Hark you, Guildenstern, and you too. At each ear a hearer. That great baby you see there is not yet out of his swaddling clouts. Happily he's in the second time come to them, for they say an old man is twice a child. I will prophesy he comes to tell me of the players. Mark it. You say right, sir. Oh, Monday morning, 'twas so indeed. My lord, I have news for you. My lord, I have news to tell you. When Roscius was an actor in Rome, the actors have come hither, my lord. Buzz, buzz. Upon my honor, then come each actor on his ass. The best actors in the world, either for tragedy, comedy, history, pastoral comical, historical, pastoral, tragical, historical, tragical, comical, historical, pastoral, scenes individable, or poem unlimited. Seneca could not be told heavy, nor Plautius too light. For the law of writ and liberty, these are the only men. O Japheth, judge of Israel, what a treasure hadst thou! In the Bible, Japheth unwittingly sacrifices his daughter by making a vow too hastily. The lines below in italics are lines from a popular song about Japheth, and Hamlet sings it. What a treasure had he, my lord? Why, one fair daughter and no more, the which he loved passing well. Still on my daughter. Am I not in the right, old Japheth? If you call me Japheth, my lord, I have a daughter that I love passing well. Nay, that follows not. Here, Hamlet means that Apollonius has a daughter. It isn't because Hamlet called him Japheth. He's calling him Japheth because he's not able to see reality. Not because he has a daughter. Polonius has the wrong reason behind all this. What follows then, my lord? Why? As by a lot, good wot, and then, it came to pass as most like it was. The first row of the pious chanson will show you more, for look where my abridgment comes. So he's telling him, listen to the rest of the song and you'll get what I'm talking about. You are welcome, masters, welcome all. I am glad to see thee well. Welcome, good friends. Oh, old friend, why thy face is valanced since I saw thee last. Comest thou to beard me in Denmark? What, my young lady and mistress? By a lady. Your ladyship is nearer to heaven than when I saw you last. By the altitude of a Coprin, or Chopin. Pray God your voice like a piece of uncurrent gold be not cracked within the ring. Masters, you are all welcome. We'll even to, like French falconers, fly at anything we see. We'll have a speech straight. Come, give us a taste of your quality. Come, a passionate speech. So, in Shakespeare's time, women were not allowed to be actors, period. All women were portrayed by men. So Juliet, of Romeo and Juliet fame, was a dude playing a 14-year-old girl. Yep. Probably a boy. Um, but yeah. So there you go. So he's kind of, excuse me, he's kind of making fun of the fact that these people are in this world. So, I hope your voice hasn't changed yet. So he's referring to someone playing a woman who hasn't hit puberty yet. Right? So, first player, which speech, my good lord? I heard thee speak me a speech once, but it was never acted, or if it was, not above once for the play. I remember, pleased not the million, 'twas caviary and to the general, but it was as I received it, and others whose judgments in such matters cried in the top of mine, an excellent play, well digested and seen, set down with as much modesty as cunning. I remember one said that there were no salads in the lines to make the matter savory, nor no matter in the phrase that might indict or the author of affection, but called it an honest method, as wholesome as sweet, and by very much more handsome than fine. One speech in it I chiefly loved. 'Twas Ananias' tale to Dido, and thereabout of it, especially where he speaks of Priam's slaughter. If it live in your memory, begin it with this line. Let me see. The rugged Pyrrhus, like the Hyrcanthian beast, or Hyrcanthian beast. It is not so. It begins with Pyrrhus. The rugged Pyrrhus, he whose sable arms, black as his purpose, did the knight resemble when he lay couched in the ominous horse, hath now his dread and black complexion smeared. Okay, so Dido, Priam, and Aeneas, are characters in the Roman poet's epic called the Aeneid, which produced the dramatic spin-off Hamlet is referring to here. So it's a play based on a very ancient play, so kind of a revision, a modern text, if you will. And Pyrrhus is the son of the great hero Achilles. Came to Troy at the end of the Trojan War to avenge his father's death by killing Priam, the king of Troy. Pyrrhus hid inside the Trojan horse with the other Greek heroes. So now we know why he lay crouched in the ominous horse, black as his purpose. They actually colored their arms and their faces so that it would be harder to see inside. It would just look like a hollow horse. With heraldry more dismal head to foot, now he total gulls, horridly tricked with blood of fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, baked and pasted with the parching streets, that lend a tyrannous and damned light to their lord's murder, roasted in wrath and fire, and thus oversized with coagulate gore, with eyes like carbuncles, the hellish Pyrrhus, old grandsire Priam seeks. So proceed you. So he's telling him, tell me the story of Priam's murder. The murder of a king. By the son of the murdered. Sound like maybe Hamlet's kind of on a single track at the moment in time? For God, my lord, well spoken, with good accent and good discretion. Polonius is congratulating Hamlet on acting it out well. First player. Anon he finds him, striking too short at Greeks, his antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, repugnant to command, unequal matched. Pyrrhus at Priam drives, enraged strikes wide, but with the whiff and wind of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls, then senseless Ilium. seeming to feel this blow with flaming top, stoops to his base, and with a hideous crash, take prisoner Pyrrhus' ear, for lo, his sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the thick air to stick, and so painted tyrant Pyrrhus stood. So, Priam cannot wield anymore and lies where his sword lies away from him. An unfair opponent, Pyrrhus rushes at Priam, and in his rage he misses, and like a neutral to his will and matter, did nothing. But as we often see against some storm, a silence in the heavens, the rack stands still, the bold wind speechless in the orb below, a hush as death, anon the dreadful thunder did rend the region. So after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance set him anew a work. And never did the Cyclops' hammer fall on Mars' armor forged for proof eterna, which less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam. Out thy strumpet fortune, all you gods in general synod, take away her power, break all the spokes and fellies from her wheel, and the bowl of the round nave, down the hill of heaven, as low as the fiends. This is too long. It shall to the barbers with your beard. Prithee, say on. He's for a jig or a tale of bawdry, or he sleeps. Say on. Come to Hecuba. But woe, who had seen the mobled queen? The mobled queen? That's good. The mobled queen is good. Run barefoot up and down, threatening the flames with bison rim and a clout upon that head, where late the diadem stood, and for a robe about her tank and all over entreamed loins, a blanket in the alarm of fear caught up, who this had seen, with tongue in venom steeped, 'gainst fortune's state would fortunes have pronounced. But if the gods themselves did see her then, when she saw Pyrrhus make malicious sport, in mincing with his sword her husband's limbs, the instant burst of clamour that she made, unless things mortal move them not at all, would have made milch the burning eyes of heaven, and passion of the gods. So, running back and forth, spraying the flames with her tears, a cloth on the head where a crown had recently sat Hecuba, Priam's wife, and a blanket instead of a robe wrapped around her body, which has withered from childbearing. Anyone seeing her in such a state, no matter how spiteful he was, would have cursed Lady Luck for bringing her down like that. If the gods had seen her while she was watching Pyrrhus chopping her husband to bits, the terrible cry she uttered would have made all eyes in heaven burn with hot tears, unless the gods don't care at all about human affairs. Look where he has not turned his colour and his tears in his eyes. Prithee, no more. 'Tis well. I'll have thee speak out the rest soon. Good, my lord. Will you see the players well bestowed? Do you hear? Let them be well used, for they are the abstract and brief chronicles of the time. After your death, you were better have had a bad epitaph than their ill report while you live. It is better to be remembered by poor writing than to have an actor act you poorly. My lord, I will use them according to their desert. God God's bodykins, man, much better. Use every man after his desert, and who should scape whipping? Use them after your own honor and dignity. The less they deserve, the more merit is in your bounty. Take them in. I don't want them treated to what they deserve. I want them treated to what you deserve. And the better you treat them, the better you look. Come, sirs. Follow him, friends. We'll hear a play tomorrow. To the first player. Dost thou hear me, old friend? Can you play the murder of Gonzago? Aye, my lord. We'll have it tomorrow night. You could, for a need, study a speech or some 12 or 16 lines which I could set down and insert in it, could you not? Aye, my lord. So, the murder of Gonzago, and he's wishing to rewrite a portion. Very well. Follow that lord, and look you mock him not. My good friends, I'll leave you till night. You are welcome to Ellisnor. Good, my lord. Aye, so. Goodbye to you. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and present slave am I! Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul, so that to his own conceit, that from her working all his visage waned, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting, with forms to his conceit, and all nothing for Hecuba? What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do? Had he the motive and cue for passion that I have, he would drown the stage with tears, and cleave the general ear with horrid speech, made the mad guilty, and appall the free. It's awful that this actor should force his soul to feel made up feelings in a work of make-believe. He grew pale and shed real tears, became overwhelmed, his voice breaking with feeling and his whole being even, meeting the needs of his act, and all for nothing. For Hecuba. Confound the ignorant and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears, yet I, a dull and muddy-metted rascal, peak like John o'Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing. No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain, breaks my plate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose, gives me the lie in the throat, as deep as to the lungs? Who does me this? Swoons. I should take it, for it cannot be. But I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter, or ere this I should have fatted all the region kites with the slave's awful. Bloody, bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain. Oh, vengeance. Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear murdered father, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words, and fall a-cursing like very drab. A scullion. Fie upon it, upon my brain. I have heard the guilty creatures sitting at a play have, by their very cunning of the scene, been struck so to the soul, that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions for murder, though it have no tongue will speak. With most miraculous organ, I have these players play something like the murder of my father. Before mine uncle, I'll observe his looks, I'll tint him to the quick, and if he do blunch, I know my course. spirit that I have seen. May the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape, yea, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have grounds more relative than this. The play is the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. So, I love the soliloquy. Now, don't forget, a soliloquy is where an individual speaks to themselves. So first, Hamlet is angered by the player being able to mimic real emotion. And then he's saying, and Hecuba means nothing. She is false. She is fake. He would drown the stage with his tears and burst the audience's ears with his terrible words and drive the guilty spectators crazy and terrify the innocent ones, confuse the ignorant and astound absolutely everyone's ears and eyes. But what do I, a grim and uncourageous rascal, do? Mope around like a dreamer, not even bothering with plans for revenge. And I can say nothing at all on behalf of a king whose dear life was stolen. Am I a coward? Hamlet straddles a line throughout the remainder of the play where you could very easily say he has gone insane. True madness has entered his mind, but not without purpose. And so, there is the consistent and persistent argument over, is Hamlet insane or not? You see here, he's rational. Look at him. Look at this actor and his amazing abilities. And there's me. I should feel it. I should look like him. And I don't. Is it because I'm a coward? Am I the bad guy? Am I the villain? It doesn't matter anymore. I will set a trap for my uncle in front of all, and I will enact the scene of my father's death. And we'll see how he acts. Murder has no tongue, but I'll make it speak. And then I'll know. I'll have my information. I'll know if it is right for me to kill my king, my father, my uncle. Do I make my mother a widow twice and leave her barren as her son lies dead before her for patricide? For the murder of my king. Two scenes. And yet, the one that is coming, Act 3, Scene 2 or 3, where he contemplates suicide, is one of the most graphic, poignant, and powerful soliloquies ever written. And you see it start here. You see the words begin here. So, it's been a long video, hour and 20 some odd minutes. We got interrupted once, but so what? It's a long one, and there's a lot to unpack. So, we will discuss this in a different video at another time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.